everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here at From Small Things. My name is Sue and I'm a scrappy quilter and I live in Southeast Pennsylvania. This episode here is going to be all about the haul that Pam and I got at the fabric sale that we went to in Ephrata. And we have quite a bit to show you. But before we start on that, I just wanted to kind of commemorate our 1-year anniversary here on YouTube. So yay! Thank you so much to everybody out there who watches, and thank you everybody for all of your lovely comments. And it's just been so much fun connecting with everybody, and I never would have anticipated that this has grown into, what it has in just a year's time. So thank you again so much. So I have a stack of things here in front of me, and we're gonna take some time and go through these. These are the things that I bought at the show at Ephrata. So we'll dive in and we'll take a closer look at them. So when I brought all of my goodies home, I laid them all out and I organized them just by size for now. So I'll go through these one at a time so you can see everything I got. Some of them I'm super excited about. Here's my first one here. It's just a grandmother's flower garden pattern. I was drawn to this because the outside edges were so interesting, and at first I thought that was all pieced, but they're not. They're all just normal, regular hexagons. It's just the pattern of that fabric that makes it look a lot more complex and complicated than it is. And this one is all stitched by hand on the back, and the seams are super tiny. They're way under 1/4 of an inch. But yeah, so that one was exciting. This one here was a little hitchhiker that came home with me. It's just a 9-patch. This is hand stitched and machine stitched on the back, and I don't understand why that would be, but I can easily see that there's both kinds of stitching on the back. All of it was hand stitched together, and then all of it was gone back over with a machine. So you never know what you're going to find. I know I would not have just picked out by myself just a regular 9-patch. And when I came home and was going through all of my blocks, this one did seem like it was just kind of stuck to another one. So I'm not upset about it. It's a 9-patch. I can stick this in anywhere. That was 50 cents. Most of the prices on these two were, I think they ranged from 25 cents. Maybe I paid $1.50 for the most expensive one, but we'll see. And then here's another one. This will need to be hand appliqued to a white background. And then this is another block just like it. So I have 2 of those in different colors. These are machine stitched. This one has a price tag on of $1, and this one was, I'm sure this was foundation paper pieced. Whenever you deal with like Mariner's compass points like that, I would be surprised if it wasn't. It's possible, but not for me. I couldn't do it. This is another one that will need to be finished out to put on the background. Probably a white background. Sometimes when I look for Orphan blocks, that's my favorite table, by the way, is the Orphan block table. Sometimes some of the things I look for are the vintage blocks, and sometimes I'm also keeping in mind what is the likelihood of myself ever making a block like this. So if it's a little bit, it doesn't even have to be difficult really to make. I just know my style, I know the pace that I like to work at, and I know my preferences. So if I see something that I think I'm not likely to make myself, I'll grab that, because I think they look really great in, you know, when you make an orphan block quilt, especially things that have curves or more applique things, which I can do. I'm just not as likely to do them. So that was another one. This is a set of 4 of these triangular shape. These were appliqued on. I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but I was intrigued by them. My first initial thought when I was at the table was just to put, you know, finish out with another triangle on the bottom and then just rotate them maybe to put together. Or I thought maybe I could just connect like 2 of these together so that all of these red spots will meet together. Again, I just picked these up, so time will tell. And then here's another one. The only reason I picked this up was because it's vintage. These 2, these very old, you know, just old stripies that I like. Those old vintage fabrics catch my eye. And what is the price on here? 25 cents each. And moving on, these blocks, there were a pair of these. They were $1 each. I'm not sure why they charged $1 each for these, because it's a simple enough pattern to do and it's not a very big block. And I only say that based on the size of these. They're not necessarily, they're, you know, really not very large. And I'm just judging based in relation to all of the other blocks that I got and the prices that were charged for them. These, now next I have this one, which I really like. This is bold, it stands out. Again, this was 25 cents. Now you can see why my pile is so big. 25 cents each. I can't say no. And this is a split 9 patch. Again, these are older fabrics. And this also, these were 25 cents each for these little tulips. I like when there are little pairs of things too. When I make an orphan quilt block, it helps me balance things. You know, if I have a tulip, you know, on the left, I could put another tulip on the right. And then these are little 16 patch blocks, again with like the nice vintage fabrics for 25 cents each. I think these blocks might finish at 2 inches. I'm not sure, I have to measure them. So there's that one, there's this one, and I did notice that there is a chain that does go down in all of them. That one was a green chain. Here's another one with the orange chain. I think they all had a green chain except for that. And there's the last one. And then the next couple here were ones I had to grab right away because I like the old embroidery blocks a lot. And all of these, I have a set of 4 of these. These were 50 cents each. So all of the birds on these were done with black thread, but all of the birds are different. So there's birdie number 1. Oh, here's number 2. I'm not sure how you hold that. Number 3. And number 4. And now I haven't washed anything and I haven't pressed anything at all yet with these. I will probably do that closer to the time when I'm actually going to use them and work with them. I have a nice little pile of these. These were 25 cents a block. I didn't count to see how many I have, but just roughly, there are more than 10 here. There might be about a dozen of them here. And one of the things that's been in the back of my head for quite a while is to make a row quilt. And I might put these, I just started a pile actually of things that are possibilities that I might put in a row quilt. So these might go on that pile for a row quilt. My sister just made a row quilt and it's really nice. And she got the inspiration for that from a show that was one of my local shows here, and I took a picture of that row quilt at the show because I really liked it, and then she saw it and she really liked it too, but she actually made a quilt. I have not made a quilt yet for a row quilt, so that's why I grabbed all these. They're really nice soft colors, and I thought it would be good for a row quilt. The next few here, I have 3 of these house blocks. These were 25 cents each. These, I'm looking at the back, are hand stitched. And some of these I am going to have to play with, I think. They don't necessarily lay flat. They're fixable. I know I can fix them. And some of them, like this, I don't know if you can see there. That's just a matter of pressing. It was just scrunched up in a pile. But I can tell they're not square. And this one too, it really needs pressing. So I have 3 of those house blocks, which I really like. Moving on, this is a block I have. This was 25 cents. This used to be really popular. There's a hole in the center here. Of course, that's going to get an applique circle on that. This is called ruching here, where they gather the fabric here. And this was very, very popular. You know, it had its heyday. I don't know exactly the decade. And I think a lot of the Amish and Mennonite will still do that with much larger blocks. And I think they call those a dahlia block. I know blocks go by many, many, many different names. So again, I knew this was not something that I was going to do anytime soon, but I thought that would be a nice addition into like a sampler quilt. And this is just a simple Jacob's ladder. And sometimes, to tell you the truth, when I'm at the Orphan block table, it's, you know, it can be very impulsive because keep in mind, there are other people there too who want these blocks also. So if I see something that just instantly grabs my eye, I'll just take it. This was, again, 25 cents for that block. I can make that block, but it just stood out to me at the time, at the moment. And then this is another one that I thought, I'm probably not likely to make this one. It's not hard to make. There aren't very many pieces, but somebody else already made it for me. And here's another house block that's a little different from the ones I just showed you. This one is more contemporary. And then these I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 of these. And I will actually have 10 because Pam grabbed one. Now she's saying no. She grabbed one that I didn't see. And when she showed it to me, I said, oh, but I have all the others. I need it. Now she's saying no. So these are all very bold prints, or, you know, with it's not just a simple white background either. So they're super cute. Again, there are 9 of these, so these could go into a row quilt also. And maybe there were more and we just missed them. Now these fabrics are older, and you know, I don't know if you can tell, but they're not really squared up very well. So when I square up things like this before I use it, sometimes points are going to get chopped off. Especially, you can tell right here on this point here, there's not a 1/4 of an inch there to work with. And so I think that's a personal decision with some quilters. I think some quilters, well, I know some quilters would take this apart and see if they could reconstruct it in a way that would give them that extra 1/4 of an inch. Even if it's just a little bit shy, it would be a little bit more maybe than what they already have to work with. I tend to use my blocks as is. I do try to square things up as close as possible. I try to keep the points as much as I possibly can. So sometimes I'm not getting a full 1/4 of an inch either, because I'm trying to save those points. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Points will get chopped off. But when they're in a quilt, at least for me, it makes me happy that I've rescued these blocks and they're in a quilt and they're quilted. They have found a home and they're not just lonely orphan blocks anymore. This is a 25-cent block. I don't know what this pattern is, but it's vibrant and I will never make this pattern. I don't know how it was constructed, but it caught my eye. This one too. This is definitely going to have to be squared up. And is this? Yeah, this is machine pieced. And some of the seams on the back on this one too. Oh, I was looking. Look how big the seam is here. This is well over 1/2 an inch, probably 3/4 of an inch seam on this. So, and there are a lot of them like this. This is, you know, the seam on this here is very large. So before I use this one, I think I would go in and see if I could trim these a little bit, because that is unnecessary. And I wonder if that was part of just how this person learned or was taught, or if trimming away was part of the process of it and they just didn't get to it. I don't know. That's why it's so interesting to get these old blocks. Here's another fan. I like the blocks too that have a lot of fabrics in. You can really get a feel and study the time period then that they were made. And this is machine pieced. I thought it was because the line, the stitching across the top of the fan there's no puckers or anything in there. It's very smooth. This is another one that definitely needs to be squared up, or this needs some help. But that will find its way into a project. This was interesting because these yellow pieces here, by today's methods, we would just cut a rectangle for this, but these are actually all squares that are joined together. And you never know really the reason why these would be squares instead of rectangles. Maybe the person already had some squares made or left over from another project, and maybe that's why they're squares and not a rectangle. The same with these 2 white strips here. That could easily be a rectangle. And actually, wait a minute, let me look at this. Yeah, this is weird. This is a big square up here, and there should be a red square in here to balance it out. So this is this is not a balanced block. I didn't even notice that when I picked it up, but that's funny. And then I have 2 of these, again, because they're embroidery, and I really appreciate when people do the handwork. So I feel like I really have to save those pieces. So there are two of these. And this one, I know I have patterns for this. I've seen this in some of my books already, but I can't think off the top of my head what the name of this pattern is called. And this was all machine pieced. So that one was 50 cents. So that was a blue one, and then here's a pink one also. And I have another embroidered piece here. This was 25 cents. And this one I thought was unusual because they embroidered this. This is actually two pieces here. So they actually embroidered through both of those pieces. So they just layered two pieces of fabric together and treated it as one piece. And I did feel this before I decided to buy it because I wanted to see if I use it, if I'm going to be able to hand quilt through this. And I think the fabric is thin enough that even though it's doubled, I think I should be okay. My stitches probably won't be as tiny because it does make a difference when you're quilting through now another layer of fabric, but each of these fabrics on its own is a little thinner than normal quilting cotton. More detective work on these. I have two of these. Here's the other one. The fabrics that they used on these are very thin. I don't know if they would have been for sheeting or curtains, but they're all very soft and just very pastel colors. And they did not, this is appliqued onto the blue, and they did not cut the blue away in the back. You can see the hand stitching that they did on here on the back, but when you look at it from the front, the blue really comes through because these fabrics are thin. So I think before I use these, I'll cut the blue away and hope that they lay flat. Because right now too, I mean, I know it needs to be pressed, but I'm not sure. There seems to be a lot of fabric back there. So we'll see. We'll see. 25 cents. Oh no, these were 50 cents. These are bigger. We're getting into the bigger blocks now. This one too, I have some reservations about. This was $1.25. This is all applique. And in the center here, I want to show you that. Can you see that? That's called ruching there in the center also, where it's gathered. And I've never done that. And I mean, I've seen it before, but I've never tried to actually do that. I'm not exactly sure how that's done. And that's why this block came home with me. Everything on here though, on this one, lays very flat and is very well done. I can't see any of their applique stitches at all. My only issue with this one is the fabric that they used. On the back of it, it looks like just a muslin, but on the front of it, there's a little bit of, there's a shine to it. And so I don't know exactly what this is. It feels the same weight as any kind of muslin would. So I took a chance on that one. Again, my concern with a lot of these is, can I quilt through that? And so that's, I'm taking a chance on. This one I bought because this is an example of a technique that they call chicken scratch. And I think it also has several names. In this region, I think we know it as chicken scratch. It's just a gingham fabric. That's all it is. And then you embroider into the squares of the fabric in order to create a new design or pattern out of it. So it's just embroidery on top of a gingham fabric, and that's all it is. When I was growing up, this was popular. I saw a lot of this, and in my memory, in my recollection, I always think of aprons with this. I just seem to remember seeing a lot of aprons that were done with this technique. And I saw within the past year, maybe, on Alex Anderson's show, the Quilt Show, where she had somebody on. I think they were talking about this, and she was demonstrating how to do this also. So I don't know if it's coming back or not. This is clearly old because I can tell by the fabric it's very thin. This is not new quilting fabric. So that's chicken scratch. That's actually it for my Orphan blocks. And so we'll get into what is in the rest of the pile then. So even though it was billed as a fabric sale, I didn't come home with a lot of fabric per se. The reason why I didn't gravitate towards the fabric as much is because there's another fabric sale this coming weekend, and I don't know if they have Orphan blocks at this next sale, but I know Ephrata always has Orphan blocks. That's why I focused on getting Orphan blocks at Ephrata. So I sort of held back some money in anticipation of the next show that's coming up this weekend. I only bought 2 fabrics at Ephrata, and these are the 2 fabrics I bought, and they're both stripes. And I was, of course, thinking of binding. So that's all I bought. And this one, I think, will already have a quilt attached to it. And that is the next one on my pile, actually. I think that will be the binding for what I will make from these. These were on the Orphan block tables. These were kits, embroidery kits, and it's by the same company that I'm using currently to do an embroidery project on. It's Jack Dempsey. It does say it on the outer edge here. This says 2017 Jack Dempsey needle art on here. So if you want to Google it, maybe you can find. There were so many of these on the table, and I really had to I really wanted all of them, of course, but the voice inside my head was like, no, don't be greedy. Give other people a chance to, and I'm making one of my own already, and so I did hold back. And then the very next day I kicked myself because I wish I had gotten more. But these are bundled by 6 blocks each, and they were $6. So they were priced at $1 a block, which is such a bargain. They're already done. They're done beautifully with this light blue and light green. So I got those with that pattern, and then also on the same table with the same thread, the same colors, they had another bundle of 6 in this pattern. And so they also had, in addition to these, they had bundles of 12 in this pattern and in this pattern. And those were $12. Again, $1 per panel. So if you wanted to buy enough of the same pattern, they were available there. I chose 2 different ones so that I could have alternating blocks, because again the embroidery on them is the same color, and I just thought that would be more interesting. So the greens in here, I think, will match nicely with this green that I got for binding. So I think I'm going to keep all of these together, and I will think about what kind of sashing I want to put in between these. I've already been thinking, we'll see. They're big blocks. I'm not sure how much they finish at. Let me see. 18. Well, they measure at about 18 inches now, but I don't think they'll finish at 18. They might finish at, it looks almost like 17, which is a little odd, but they're pretty big. So I'll get a quilt out of those in no time. So I'm very excited about those. At the quilt sale out in Ephrata, they also have a lot of books. In years past, they had a table full of old magazine subscriptions, and they usually gave those away for free. I didn't see that this year. Maybe they were all taken by the time I got there. We went on Saturday morning, and the fabric sale starts on Friday. And I heard that Friday was very, very packed. And it always is. There's usually a very long line of people waiting to get in the door. It's shoulder to shoulder when you're inside there. So even though we went on Saturday, I felt I was still able to get plenty of everything that I had in mind that I wanted. So I looked through the books, not with the same attention that I did in years past, because by the time I got there, I was getting tired. We had been there for a while already. So these are the only two books I came home with. Again, I may have come home with others if I had spent more time there and looked longer. All of their books were $1 each. So this first one is Strip Quilts in a Hurry, and it's by the American School of Needlework. And this was purchased at A.C. Moore. And so I just liked some of the ideas that were in here. And I don't know if I'll use it or not. I might end up maybe incorporating some of the ideas in here into some of my other quilts. I don't know, but I thought, you know, for the price of a book with patterns in it, it's worth it for me to take a chance. And then the other one I picked up was Motifs for Crazy Quilting, because I do like to do the fancy embroidery on crazy quilting. And so these are all of the little motifs. Let's see. You can see some of them in here. Things that have been researched from some of the old quilts. And they're sort of grouped in this book by theme, as far as florals or animals. And then they'll give you some examples. Wildflowers, here are some of them. There are some that are more like landscapes in here. And again, this is mostly for ideas. It's not for me to necessarily copy outright, though I may. And these are some more like Chinese or Japanese symbols, which were also very popular at the time. So, and these books too, I like to just sit and have a cup of tea and page through the books and let my mind wander and just dream about the next dozen quilts that I'm going to make. Yeah, when I go to Ephrata too, I always look for Orphan block quilts. And just recently, within the past few years, I have started looking at quilt tops that they have that are unfinished. And the last several years I picked up some vintage tops out there and brought them home and quilted them. Not all of the tops that they have out there are vintage. Some of them are newer. It just really spans, you know, decades. So I was afraid, actually, by going on Saturday, I was really afraid all of the good ones would already be gone. But I did manage to find one that I really liked. And again, I'm looking for patterns too. I'm looking for vintage, and I was looking for patterns that I'm not likely to do. And the pattern on this one is called Hearts and Gizzards. And that's a very old traditional pattern. And it's a bonus that it's in blue and white, because I'm starting my own blue and white quilt collection. And the border on this one is a scalloped border. Let me see, I'll hold this better. This is a scalloped border that's been hand appliqued on all around the quilt, and it's very hard to see. Even if I held it up to the camera, I don't think you could see it because I'm looking at it here and I can barely see it. But on this part of the border down here, all of the hand quilting lines are already penciled onto the quilt. And I will follow those, actually. I won't say probably, I will follow that. I like the design that they put on there. But now on the body of the quilt, it's not marked at all. So I don't know how the original maker planned to quilt the body of the quilt. But so this one for the top was $18. So I'm quite happy. I had 3 of them in my hands to choose from. One was a big Lone Star quilt, just the top, and it was large so that the star took up the entire top. And that one was marked with quilting lines also. That was in a lot of, let's see, I remember like lots of pinks, maybe lighter greens, yellows, but this one spoke to me more. It was a hard decision to make, actually. And so that's it for my purchases. I spent a grand total out there of a little over $65. And if you just say I spent $65, maybe it'll sound like a lot of money, but walk into any quilt store anywhere and see how far $65 takes you. You're not coming home with nearly this. I mean, I got a whole quilt top here, and I didn't count how many Orphan blocks I got, but and just the embroidery blocks alone that I got will make a whole quilt. So I'm very, very happy with what I got here. And so I did not go to the Ephrata sale alone. Pam went with me. Oh, and before I forget to, I do want to say that I did meet some viewers out there. They were so nice and so lovely, but I was so embarrassed. I am not that kind of person that likes to be the center of attention at all. But they couldn't have been nicer and sweeter, and you see, I'm already at a loss for words. I'm so uncomfortable with that. But it really was nice to be able to actually connect and see people who are watching my videos. So thank you so much to the lovely women who took the time to stop and say hello. I have a few more Orphan blocks to share with you. This next section here of the video, these are things that Pam bought when she was there. So she didn't buy a lot of Orphan blocks, but like I said, she did pick up this one that matches the 9 of them that I have. She really liked the colors on this one. And this one she grabbed, she said, I don't know why, I just liked it. Which is what we all do, right? And then these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these are like a trip around the world. They need their edges finished on this, and she said she picked these up because of the quilts that I've just been making that are like the trip around the world blocks. So these all need setting triangles around the outside edges. So I saw those too. I considered them, but I left them for her. And now she came home with 3 quilts. This first one here is a Dresden plate quilt, and it's very large. Now this This is funny because, can you see some of the blocks on here? These are all blanket stitched around the outside edges, around the edges here, and each block is blanket stitched with different color thread. The fabrics in here look really, really good. I don't see any issues with any of them at all. The funny thing on this one is it looks like it may have been made like just as a summer quilt, I guess, because this is the outside edge on it, and it's a finished edge, which you wouldn't put that on if you were planning to put batting, you know, and a backing on it. So I'm not sure what they were thinking. I'm not sure what the plan was, but that's a finished edge on there. So she also now is not sure if she wants to just keep it like this and just use it just as a summer quilt on the bed, or not, but it's beautiful. It's really bright colors and it's in beautiful condition. It's very large. I don't want to open the whole thing up, but there are, in two of the corners, I don't think I'll find one now. Maybe this one up here. It looks like there's a block that was missing. And there's another corner like that too. So she's not sure if she's going to add another block to it. She took home a box that I have. If you've been watching my channel for a little while, you'll see I just, this summer, I received a box from one of my friends, from her grandmother, that contained a lot of Dresden plate blades. And I did make a quilt for my friend with those, but there were a lot of leftovers in there also. So Pam was thinking of making another block for these two corners. And it might just depend on how well those fabrics kind of blend in with what's already been used in here. But that was her thinking on this. How much did this one cost you? $6? $6? Wow. And that's really large. And she picked up another quilt that was $4. And it's this one here. It's just a single patch quilt. But the issue with this one is there are only 2 blocks in the quilt that need to be repaired. And you see, this is all the whatever fabric was used in that block is gone. So that's one of the blocks. The other block is nearby, and it's this one here. And that's it for the whole quilt. Everything else looks good. And this is a tied quilt. You can see the ties here. So she's thinking she's going to remove the ties and hand quilt this one then. And there's no binding on it, is there? Oh yes, there is. It's the backing of this quilt that was brought to the front. So the colors are really nice and bright. Everything else looks really good for $4. And this is the back of it. It's a solid piece on the back. So this will be really nice once this is fixed and quilted. And this will be an easy fix too, because there are only 2 squares, and they're just squares. I mean, it's super easy to fix this one and bring this back to life. And this is the 3rd quilt that Pam bought at the Ephrata show. This is a beauty, kind of, in a way. It's really, really nicely done. It really pops. I'm sure it was gorgeous when it was finished, but somebody cut 2 holes into it, almost as if they wanted to use a certain part of a motif for something. You know how some people buy quilts that they consider cutter quilts, that they then want to, you know, cut the pieces up and make something else out of them. So I think that's maybe what somebody originally had in mind by cutting out 2 of the pieces, but this I would not consider a cutter quilt, because, I mean, it is now kind of because somebody cut it, but I would not have ever cut into this. This is really nice. This is all hand quilted with scalloped edge and hand applique and hand embroidered. Now this one, she paid $25 for this one, and this is really stunning. And she is going to try to fix it. So that might be a good winter project. We'll see. It's an adventure. Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for our fabric and quilt hauls that we got out at Ephrata this time. As I said, we have another fabric sale that we're planning to go to this coming weekend. The last time that both of these places, Ephrata and Collegeville, had their sales, they planned them on the exact same weekend. So last year I didn't get to go to both of them. I just went to Ephrata. This year they're on different weekends, so yay, I get to go to both of them. So this weekend will be another adventure. And for people who noticed the quilt on my door behind me, I'm not going to go into that too much with this episode. We're running long already, but that is a finished quilt now. And in the next episode, we'll take a closer look at that. And then I'll catch you up on the other things that I've been working on as well. So wish me luck this weekend at my next fabric sale. And that'll do it for us this week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.